She said I'm dumb, surrounded by strangers. When I hear your voice, I'm in too deep.
I think Joji can teach us nerdy producers how to produce a bit more like an actual artist. I remade one of his songs and I'm going to walk through it in 3 separate sections because each part taught me something different about his process. We're going to start with the guitar. Takeaway number 1, do the processing that sounds good to you and suits the vibe. I recorded it with my Fender Strat. I added a lot of highs and boosted a lot of imperfections in it, so a lot of string noise and random shit. So without all the plugins, way too mellow. It needs a lot more high end, a lot more like random shit going on. So for the first couple plugins, I've got a guitar rig with a lot of treble, minimal bass, a bit of mids, and then presence all the way up, along with an EQ taking out a lot of low mids. Added some delay, which is actually quite effective on the string noise because it keeps in the highs. Bit of compression to like compress a reverb, which puts it in a room. It's just a vintage verb. And then the last plugins are just a little EQ taking out some more mids and boosting the presence, and then adding some noise and distortion and a bit more width from the chorus. All the processing here works together to bring out the natural imperfections or to create more of them. If your track's mellow and vulnerable like this, then these techniques might work, but if you're going for a loud and indulgent pop song or something, you're definitely better off reaching for different tools. Just be intentional. Basically, Joji's not going for a polished end product. He's not going for like a sizzly high end and like perfectly played guitar. He's going to bring out the imperfections to, as we'll see later on, is really important for the message of the track. Phineas said it way better than I can.
It's really important that you understand the delineation between the correct way to do something and whether you like it or not, because your taste is what really matters. And it's also going to be your greatest defense. If somebody goes, oh, that vocal's too compressed. But if you go, no, I compressed it that way on purpose. I like it. Then it's the correct way.
Bass and drums. That's fun. It's basically just a Moog. It's just a vintage synth which has a lot of nice character to it. It sounds like this. Add a decapitator. Then we've got a bit of chorus for a bit more modulation. And then an EQ to bring up what we've just distorted, the harmonics we've just added. And a sub underneath that, which is just a sine wave. And then an amp on the group bus to just kind of glue them together. Now for the drums, which is actually one of my favorite parts of this. It's basically just a kick and clap beat with no layering on those. And then all sorts of different, interesting ear candy percussion filling in the space. Basically for these sounds, what he's used is 2 different things. One is vintage drum machines, and 2 is more live sounds. Both of them have been processed in a really lo-fi way, getting rid of the highs and getting rid of the lows, and they've been kept really tight to keep the space in between the stuff. Some of these have been put in a room, very short reverb, a very small amount sent here. In some of these, there's been a transient shaper, which just increases the attack, decreases the sustain. But for the most part, it's just EQs and a bit of RC20. And that's takeaway number 2 for me. Leave space for what matters. The drums and bass here really don't cut into the space that's there for the other elements. It's often tempting when you've made an awesome groove or a great bass line to shove it down the listener's throat. But I think what Joji's done here is really tasteful, creating something awesome and then having the confidence to let it take a backseat. That brings us to the most important point of all. You can't produce your way out of shit songwriting. I know, songwriting is far beyond the scope of this video and there are entire YouTube channels dedicated to it. But remaking this song still taught me a few ways to enhance great songwriting through production. Back to the video. So this is my best Joji impression.
She said I'm down, surrounded by strangers. When I hear your voice, I'm in too deep. Feeling undone, I can't be the only one. I wanna be forever young.
It's delivered really chill and like without really trying too hard. As you can see, there are a lot of stacks on top of each other. It really fills it out and makes it feel a lot thicker and supports the melody. So without the stacks, it sounds like this.
She said I'm down, surrounded by strangers.
As soon as you add those, you get a thickness to it.
She said I'm down,
And a width.
surrounded by
These are
strangers.
pans. Other than the unison stacks, can you hear anything else in here?
Something tells me we were chosen, so we keep on trying.
Did you hear it? We've got vocal stacks an octave below. Usually you'd see them in the middle. Interestingly, they're panned hard and left, which gives an effect of like a warm fucking hug.
Something tells me we were chosen, so we keep on trying.
Sounds a bit weird by itself, eh? In the verse, we've got some adlibs. They're basically the same processing, except we add a massive reverb and do 2 of them and pan them hard left and right so that they're kind of separate from the vocal, which is very front and center.
Stayed outside. I wanna be forever young.
We've got a high harmony,
I wanna be forever young.
a lower and a higher one.
Young.
The vocal chain here, if you're interested, bit of auto-tune, gentle auto-tune though, gentle auto-tune. Removing some of the low mids. Then we've got a de-esser here. Auto format, this plugin is fucking gold. It's a preamp, a compressor, and a vocal balance all in one, and it sounds amazing. This is without.
Surrounded by strangers when I hear your voice.
And fresh air, free plugin, banger plugin, adding some mid-air. And then this is doing all the heavy lifting, the Pro Q3, boosting the highs by 1,000,000%. That helps it really sit on top of everything else where we've carved away the highs and made it feel like lo-fi. So all of this is just kind of a long-winded way of saying that I think that people who think that this album is unfinished or unpolished are just kind of missing the point. That is the point, that he is just an unfinished character, that he is just a vulnerable person, and that's what he's trying to convey in his music. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Free download for the Ableton file in the description. Enjoy it at your leisure, and I'll see you later. It's a fucking banger.